It is September 28th, 2021. I'm watching See the BS mornings on my television. I don't know. They call the network CBS, but I'm like, well, it's television and I see the BS, but for articulation purposes, no. There is somebody got hired at this particular network, and he calls himself his stage name STAGENAME. He's in public broadcasting during deforestation and climate change and the catastrophic event that humanity is going through at this point in space and time. The fact that this man goes on stage and calls himself Vladimir and then has a last name that looks like the word Dutch, Dutch, is so vile. I do not know how the man is still breathing and alive. It violates every human treaty that was written throughout area, space, and time for them to be allowed to have filming, crews, and some form of public life where they get to be spokesmen. SPOKESMAN. That's like spokes in a wheel, in a big cog that currently has a lot of pieces, a lot of tempers. They've got things that they misconstrued from the past that they bring into every meeting that they ever go to. It's part of their subliminal script and their sublingual script. And it is so much more difficult when pieces of the machine just refuse to act in an appropriate manner according to the very specific finite rules of broadcasting and journalism, because they think that they're part of a larger social justice network that's going to protect them, even though they compromise several other pieces and missions. Now, this is what this gentleman looks like, which is why he will never be a Vladimir, and why he's in violation. He's not a premier. Premier.
Very on topic today. Vlad, what do you got for us?
What's happening, everybody? Good to see you. Here are a few stories we think you'll be talking about. We're starting out with new NBA news. More than 90...
For me, he's a glorified cheerleader. Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Whatever cheerleader squad he's on a cheerleading squad. But this violates other things that are going on with other areas in the world that use that name as family lineage and heritage in order to move certain things. And people that do this for a living are forbidden or verboten from using it. There are specific titled names that you take on, almost like a chieftain or whatever, that it would be sacrilege to use them as a common familial name or as a common familial stage name. It is so much more difficult to work within the Duma system, DUMA, and correct the larger schematic and building issue that we have going on that is growing and intensifying with catastrophic, planet-altering changes that are really starting to frighten me.
90% of players are vaccinated against COVID, but a few high-profile names like Kyrie Irving aren't saying if they've gotten the shot. Take a listen.
Please just respect my privacy. All the questions kind of leading into what's happening as of right now, just please respect my privacy regarding anything on home games, what's happening, vaccination, please.
Now, he works in an area called, in alphabet soup, NBA. Because you have to remember, not everybody speaks English, not everybody speaks American. Not everybody, this is a culture, it's not mine, but this is a culture. and not everybody speaks American culture or what you all have designed, being that there seems to be multiple cultures trying to compete with one another for some kind of I don't know what, because I have other things that are more pressing and endangered, like species stuff, and this is just distraction, but this has to be handled in a mannerism, which they have their own way of handling things. But when they articulate, there has to be the respect level of what he's saying, respect my privacy, that kind of thing.
So if you're wondering why he's in that dark room, Irving appeared at a Brooklyn Nets media day virtually, reportedly because of rules in New York City that prevent unvaccinated individuals from entering arenas. Meanwhile, Golden State's
That's an articulation
Andrew Wiggins
of
also refused to
importance.
tell reporters if he got a shot. The NBA recently denied his request for a religious exemption. So, here's what's going on.
Did he get a shot, meaning a shot in the arm? Did he get a shot in the dark, like a hoop? Because he plays on something called King's Court, KINGSCOURT, for kangaroo court. So we're all on the same articulation at our level. So there's a sport called NBA, which is the National Basketball Association. And then there's like internal conflict of civil uprising problems, because before they make it on the team, they're willing to do anything for the opportunity. Then once they get on the team, then they think that they have some kind of like false justice power and something larger behind them, like a larger engine, and they can do whatever they want and say whatever they want, feel however they want, and that they're not going to, and their feelings are not hurting others. I have no feelings and emotions whatsoever because I hate this entire mission. It's gone completely off the rails, and I wish that it had never even existed. I would have shut it down before it even began, but here we are.
Most players in the NBA are vaccinated. There are a few who are not, like Kyrie Irving. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is one of the great all-time basketball heroes and great humans of all time, was on cable news last night, and he said this. He says that he has zero patience for people in the NBA who are unvaccinated. He says, I don't think they are behaving like good teammates or good citizens. This is a war that we're involved in, and masks and vaccines, they are the weapons we use to fight this war.
Yeah, he's been known as a man of few words, so when he talks, yeah, they have weight to him.
I love that he's speaking out this way. You're right, you have the right not to get the vaccine, but the others people who are vaccinated have the right not to put their lives in danger.
Yeah, I don't
it really
think
is that simple to me.
I don't think these players owe anything to the fans and the media. They don't need to tell us, but they do need to tell their teammates, and they need to tell public health authorities if that's the rule in that area.
That's right. And it's going to be tough to play if you don't participate in a game, you don't get paid. So that's going to be an issue.
Never presented with a game, never presented with a sports contract, and now watch. He says something about a remote. Go ahead.
All right, we've got an exclusive clip to show you of gold medal gymnast Simone Biles from the latest episode of her Facebook docuseries, Simone versus Herself. It follows a 24-year-old as she got ready to defend her Olympic all-around title at the Tokyo Olympics. Biles cried as she explained the difficult decision to step back from competition.
You can see I'm not a quitter, I'm a fighter. I feel like I had a lot of courage. I know a lot of people look down upon it, but it's like I gave the team the best chance at medaling, and it's like 5 years, and I put myself first for once. And I don't think they realize that.
I'm glad this is an exclusive to CBS Mornings because this is really one of the first times we're hearing her react to the criticism that some people leveled at her for why she made this decision. She also talked about her struggle with the twisties when gymnasts lose awareness of where they are in midair, making it difficult for them to safely land.
I so admire her speaking up the way that she's doing. She had a lot of pressure. She still has a lot of people pulling for her and believe she did the right thing for herself.
Yeah,
But you always have to do it.
I find it hard for me to understand people who've never competed at an elite level talking about what people at an elite level should do if all you do is sit on the couch and use a remote control.
You know what's upsetting? The people that use their platform to voice their criticism of Simone, where were the voices at when they were on the stand and talking about what they've been through when it came to the sexual assault?
She's the only survivor of the Nasser era to have competed in Tokyo.
I don't know what a Nasser era is. I have a remote and I have a wall. I don't get criticism to my face because time and space doesn't move in that effect. And a lot of things were let out ahead of time, causing more delay and causing a real pile up and problem at compiler and filers. So I know there's articulation within that entire argument as well at the deforestation and climate change and the heating up nuclear reactor that we are all just sitting on. And I can feel the leak. There's a certain smell in my grandfather's room. I used to tell him about it when I was little. I was like, Angelina's bed. And he says, well, it wasn't Angelina's. And then he asked it, and I get it in the bedroom that I'm in now. Not all the time, but every now and again, there is a morte, Morte. It's just a whiff of death. The air smells like the planet is dying. And it is the most, I sprayed Lysol this morning. I don't know what else to do. But, I mean, we're at this point. I told him when I was young, 19th century, decade 8, he reported it in for me with whatever level of important man he was with Albania and the antiquity Greece, Grecia, Gurera, that was in the Schifo. There's Schifo, and with Za, and then there's the Schifosa. But again, he was always, I don't know how to teach you these things because they're supposed to be quiet, but I don't know if they're going to take you away from me and then it became difficult. So he didn't know what language to teach me. Since Louis